Hello everyone, myself Prakriti. A warm welcome to all of you in the funny and interesting world of chemical bonding. But wait, before going to the world of chemical bonding, let me share a very famous quote. And the quote is: chemistry states the more energy you put into a bond, the harder it is to break. This means the strong bond takes more energy to break or more time to break. It is difficult to break, right? Okay. Now, let's see the topics to be covered today. First one is what is chemical bond? We will learn about what is chemical bond. Next, why atoms combine to form molecule? Next, Russell-Lewis approach to chemical bonding. Next, what did Lewis do? Next one is Lewis symbol. After that, we will learn about significance of Lewis symbol. After that, we will learn what is octet rule. Then what is covalent bond. Then Lewis dot structure, formal charge, and last but not the least, limitation of octet rule. Okay, so let's start. Now we see chemical bonding is made of two words, right? One is chemical and another one is bonding. So let us try to know what is bonding. In our childhood, we all have watched this cartoon. What is this cartoon? This is Tom and Jerry. Okay. This is Tom and Jerry, right? We all know there is a very cute bonding between them. Now look at this picture. They are friends. Their bonding is also very nice. Look at this one. This is a family. There is a very pure and lovely bonding between each and every one. Like each one have a family and they have a very nice bonding, right? Now look at them. They are fighting. Their bond is very poor. Now they are two sisters. They are quarreling over a small teddy bear. So, which does it signifies? This signifies that their bonding is not that much good. Now look at this guy. This guy likes to live alone. He's happily studying alone. He enjoys his own company and doesn't like to communicate much with others. So, we have seen a very small picture of our society's bonding, right? How bonding takes place in our family, in our friends, in between two sisters, right? Now, just like us, I mean human beings, there exist different types of bonds between different atoms. They don't like to stay alone except noble gases. Noble gases always like to stay alone. However, there are few exceptions also. Okay, so now the question arises, how atoms will combine to form molecule? You can see here, this is the picture of atoms and this, by combining they form molecule, right? So how atoms will combine to form molecules? The answer is written here. Atoms combine by making chemical bonds. So this chemical bonds, this word is quite new, right? So we have to know now what is chemical bond. It is written here that the attractive force, remember this is the attractive force which holds various constituents like atoms, ions, etc. together in different chemical species is called a chemical bond. Right. So this is the attractive force which holds various constituents in different chemical species. So our next question becomes, do all atoms combine? Now try to understand. Do the bonding between each and every one was good in the previous slide? Okay, let us move to the previous slide. The bonding between them was not too good, right? But the bonding between them was very nice. So this also happens in atoms. So all atoms do not combine. Look what is written here. Some atoms while certain, others are not. Means some atoms combine while the others do not combine. Now the word specific combination is very important. Only specific combination is possible between atoms. So all combination is not fruitful to form molecule, right? Only some specific combination is important. Now the next question is why atoms combine to form molecule? Now let me ask you whether this question came into your mind or not. If not, you should try to understand that you should make the habit of questioning. You might ask to yourself, you might ask to your teachers that why this is happening, right? So, why atoms combine to form molecule is our next question. The answer is they combine to form molecule to attain stability. What is this term? This term is stability. Listen, everyone in this world try to gain stability. Everyone try to be stable, right? Every system tends to be more stable and bonding is nature's way to lower the energy of the system to attain stability. So what is the answer then? The answer is the atoms combine to form molecule to attain stability. They want to stable. That's why they form molecule. Okay. Till now we have learned a very little concept about chemical bonding, right? Why chemical bond is formed we have learned till now. But now we have to know how this chemical bond is actually happening. Okay. So let us now know the chemical bond is formed. How? We will learn Coastal-Lewis approach to chemical bonding to know that. Look what is written here. This is a brief description. In order to explain the formation of chemical bond in terms of electrons, a number of attempts were made, but it was only in 1916 while Coastal and Lewis succeeded independently in giving a satisfactory explanation. So, we have to know what did Lewis do. See, Lewis pictured the atom in terms of a positively charged kernel and the outer shell that could accommodate a maximum of 8 electrons. Listen, this 8 electrons is a very important term. Why? You will learn it later. Now we have to know what is kernel. Okay, what is kernel? To know that, look at this picture. Here you can see this is the nucleus and this is the electron shell, right? So in this kernel, in this picture, this is the kernel. This up to this boundary is the kernel, right? This is the nucleus and these are inner shell electrons. So what are they? They are valence shell electron or the electrons of the outermost shell. They are known as valence electron. So the nucleus and the inner shell electrons form the kernel. This is a positively charged one. Okay, the nucleus plus the inner electrons is called the kernel. Okay. Now, he further assumed that these 8 electrons occupy the corners of a cube which surround the kernel. Thus, the single outer shell electron of sodium would occupy one corner of the cube. Now, you know the electronic configuration of sodium. What is the configuration? 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1, right? So, there is a single electron in the 3s orbital of sodium, right? So, it will occupy the corner of the cube, while in the case of a noble gas, all the 8 corners would be occupied. This octet of electrons represents a particularly stable electronic arrangement. So, this 8 electron is very important to attain the stable electronic configuration. But why? We will learn it later. Now, let's see. Lewis postulated that Atoms achieve the stable octet when they are linked by chemical bonds. Here comes the story of chemical bonds. Okay. In case of sodium and chlorine, this can happen by the transfer of one electron, by the transfer of only one electron from sodium to chlorine, thereby giving the Na plus and Cl minus. Look at this picture. What sodium is doing? Sodium is simply donating one of its electron to its brother chlorine, and thus sodium attains a plus charge as it is losing an electron, so it becomes Na plus, and on the other hand chlorine is accepting one electron from sodium, so it becomes Cl minus by accepting one electron, right? Here you can see this. Sodium is simply transferring its electron to chlorine. Look, chlorine has 7 electrons in its outermost shell, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And sodium has only 1 electron in its outermost shell. So, it is very easier to sodium to lose its 1 electron and give it to chlorine. That's why sodium is donating one of its electron to chlorine. Okay. Now, let us move further. In the case of other molecules like chlorine, hydrogen, fluorine, etc., the bond is formed by the sharing of pair of electrons between the atoms. This word is very important. Sharing of pair of electrons between the atoms. Right. In the process, each atom attains a stable outer octet of electrons. Listen. Atoms want to gain 8 electrons in its outermost orbital. Why? We will learn it later. But let us know that the atoms try to attain an octet. Right, octet means 8 electrons in its outermost orbital. So, as you see in case of sodium chloride, sodium is donating 1 electron to chlorine and chlorine attains 8 electronic configuration in its outermost shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And what was the electronic configuration of sodium? It was 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1. So sodium is donating. Chlorine is attaining its octet and sodium also attaining its octet by sharing the electron. But when the case arises to chlorine, hydrogen, fluorine, etc., the bond is formed by the sharing of pair of electrons between the atoms. Look at this picture. This is one hydrogen and it is her brother. This is brother. So they are sharing their electron. Hydrogen has 1 electron. And this hydrogen also has 1 electron. So they are sharing their electron. Now listen. Unlike others, hydrogen is only happy with 2 electrons. It doesn't need 8 electrons. Okay. He is happy with 2 electrons. So they are sharing their electron. Now look at this picture. They are two happy friends. They are sharing their electrons to be stable. They both are trying to be stable. So they think, let us share our electrons. So by sharing, both of us will be stable. Right. Now let us move to this one. In the formation of a molecule, only the outer shell electrons take part in chemical combination, as we have shown earlier, right? Only the valence electrons take part. The inner shell electrons are well protected. So why do the inner shell electrons do not participate? The answer is they are well protected and are generally not involved in the combination process, right? So only the valence electrons take part in chemical bonding. Okay, so now we will learn about Lewis symbols. J. Lewis, an American chemist, introduced simple notations to represent valence electrons in an atom. These notations are known as Lewis symbol. Here I have given the Lewis symbols of second period elements. Okay, this is the Lewis symbol of lithium. See, there is only one dot around lithium. For beryllium, there are 2 dots. For boron, there are 3 dots around boron. For carbon, 4 dots. For nitrogen, 5 dots. For oxygen, 6 dots. And for fluorine, 7 dots. Last but not the least, for neon, 8 dots. Now, the question is, what is the significance of such a symbol? What is the significance of Lewis symbol? Okay, let us learn. The number of dots around the symbol represents the number of valence electrons. So, they are not only dots, they represent valence electron. So, can we say what is the number of valence electron for carbon? Yes, of course. There are 4 dots around the Lewis symbol. There are 4 dots around the carbon atom. So, the number of valence electrons for carbon is 4. Similarly, for nitrogen, the number of valence electron is 5, right? For boron, it is 3. For fluorine, this is 7. For neon, this is 8. For lithium, this is 1. And for oxygen, this is 6. Okay. So, this number of valence electrons helps to calculate the common or group valence of the element. Okay. The group valence of the elements is generally either equal to the number of dots. For example, for lithium, there is only 1 dot and the group valence for lithium is also 1. Okay. Or 8 minus the number of dots or valence electrons. So, for fluorine, there is 7 dots and the group valence for fluorine, that means for the halogen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine is 8 minus 7, that means 1. So, let's move now. Kossel, in relation to the chemical bonding, drew attention to the following facts. Let us learn what are the facts. Okay. In the periodic table, the highly electronegative halogens and the highly electropositive alkali metals are separated by the noble gases. If you see the periodic table, you will understand that in the left corner, the left side, we see the alkali metal, and the rightmost corner we see the noble gases. And just before the noble gases, there are highly electronegative halogen atoms. Okay. So, the formation of negative ion from a halogen atom and a positive ion from an alkali metal atom is associated with the gain or loss of an electron. So, this is associated with the gain and loss of an electron by the respective atoms. When any atom gains an electron, it possesses a negative charge. And when it loses an electron, it gains a positive charge, right? So, when any electronegative halogen atom gains an electron, it becomes negatively charged. And an alkali metal, when it loses an electron, it becomes positively charged. Okay. So, the negative and positive ions thus formed attain stable noble gas configuration, noble gas electronic configuration. The noble gases, with the exception of helium, which has a doublet of electron, we'll learn about it, have a particularly stable outer shell configuration of 8 electrons. Here you can see neon is a noble gas and it has 8 electrons in its outermost shell, right? That means it has its octet completed. Okay. And the electronic configuration is NS2 NP6 of all the noble gases. Okay. Okay. The negative and positive ions are stabilized by electrostatic attraction. Now, you can consider the electrostatic attraction as the love at first sight. When any electropositive one sees any electronegative one, there becomes an attraction, and this attraction is electrostatic attraction. Okay, now let's move to the next slide. For example, the formation of NaCl from sodium and chlorine according to the above scheme can be explained as the formation of NaCl from sodium and chlorine. We can see that sodium loses an electron it becomes Na plus and the electron is there. Now the electronic configuration of sodium was neon 3s1. What is the electronic configuration of sodium? It is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6 and 3s1. What is the electronic configuration for neon? It is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. So the configuration, electronic configuration for sodium becomes neon 3s1, right? When it loses an electron, it attains the electronic configuration of neon. And this is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. So by becoming Na plus or by losing an electron, sodium attains the electronic configuration of a noble gas, right? Now similarly, when chlorine gains this electron, when chlorine takes this electron, it becomes Cl minus. Now the electronic configuration for chlorine was neon 3s2, 3p5. After gaining this electron, the electronic configuration of chlorine becomes neon 3s2, 3p6, and this is the electronic configuration of another noble gas, which is argon. So Na plus plus Cl minus will form NaCl. This is the electrostatic force. Okay. Similarly, the formation of CaF2 may be shown as this. Calcium loses 2 electrons and becomes Ca2 plus. The electronic configuration of calcium is argon 4s2. So after losing 2 electrons, the electronic configuration of calcium 2 plus ions becomes similar to argon, right? And fluorine gains an electron and becomes F minus. Electronic configuration of fluorine was helium 2s2, 2p5. After gaining an electron, the electronic configuration of fluorine becomes helium 2s2, 2p6, and this is the electronic configuration of neon. So there will again electrostatic force of attraction will take place, right? This is Ca2 plus and this is 2F minus. So what will happen? CaF2 will form. Okay. Now here you can see that the bond formed as a result of the electrostatic attraction between the positive and negative ions. As I was saying, this is the electrostatic attraction, or this is like lovers first sight, right? So electrostatic attraction between the positive and negative ions was termed as the electrovalent bond. Okay, this is also known as electrovalent bond. The electrovalence is equal to the number of unit charges on the ion. So the electrovalence of sodium is 1, right? This is a positive electrovalence, right? Okay. Thus, calcium is assigned as a positive electrovalence of 2 because this is Ca2 plus, right? While chlorine a negative electrovalence of 1. This is Cl minus. For fluorine, this is also negative electrovalence is 1. Okay. So now we will move to the next slide. Now we will learn octet rule. For this we were waiting till now. We have to know why this is octet. Why the atoms are so much fascinated with the number 8. Why? Okay. Now we will learn why 8 is the king, right? Okay. Let's learn. Kossel and Lewis in 1916 developed an important theory of chemical combination between atoms, which is known as electronic theory of chemical bonding. According to this, atoms can combine either by transfer of valence electron, as we shown earlier for NaCl. Sodium was transferring its valence electron to chlorine, that is from one atom to the another. This is a gaining or losing process, right? Chlorine is gaining an electron while sodium is losing its electron, or by sharing of valence electron. We have also shown that, right? the sharing of valence electron in order to have an octet in their valence shell. Why they want to gain or lose or share their electrons? Because they want to have a complete octet in their valence shell. This is known as the octet rule. Okay, see, we are a full octet. Sorry, we can't take you because we have a full octet, right? So what is the configuration? This is the configuration of a noble gases. Everyone try to achieve, every atom try to achieve this full octet. See, only helium was 2 electron in its outermost shell. This is known as duplet. Okay, but the rest of the noble gases wants 8 electron in its outermost shell. This is neon, argon, krypton, xenon, all needs 8 electron. Okay, so this is octet rule. This is 8 electron in its outermost orbital. Okay, so the question is, have you thought why it is 8 electron? Why 8? Why 8 is the lucky, this is the king number, right? Woohoo, 8 electrons. Why this 8 valence electron makes the atoms very happy? The answer is here. Atoms tend to form bonds to achieve a noble gas electronic configuration. Atoms that achieve this configuration have 8 valence electron. Oh, I have 8 valence electron, right? Because after gaining this 8 valence electron, the atoms gains the electronic configurations of what? Of noble gases, right? And the noble gases are stable. So, they try to attain the 8 valence electrons. Okay. So, now let's move to the next slide. Here, we will learn about covalent bond. So, I hope you have a little bit idea about that as we discussed earlier, right? So, what is covalent bond? This is the idea of sharing electrons, right? This is the idea of sharing, okay? This results this type of bond. In case of NaCl, we have shown that sodium is transferring its electron and chlorine is gaining the electron. But here, both of them will share, right? Look at this picture. It will get you understand that. This girl is Emily. This one is Shara. Okay. Emily is saying to Shara that, Sarah, I am cold. And Sarah is saying to Emily, I am cold too. But they have only one blanket. So what they will do? Emily and Sarah share the blanket. They are sharing the blanket. See, wow, we both feel so cozy and comfortable after sharing the blanket. So, by sharing the blanket, both of them becomes happy, right? This similar things happens in case of covalent bond. Now, let's see here. Langmuir refined the Lewis postulations by abandoning the idea of stationary cubical arrangement of the octet and by introducing the term covalent bond. The Lewis-Langmuir theory can be understood by considering the formation of the chlorine molecule. The chlorine atom with electronic configuration neon 3s2 3p5 is 1 electron short of the argon configuration. Now argon is a noble gas, right? So chlorine needs only 1 electron to gain the configuration like argon, which is a noble gas, right? This chlorine also needs 1 electron and this chlorine also needs 1 electron. So what they will do? They will share their electron. Okay. This chlorine will give its electron to this and this will also give to this and they will form a sharing, right? They will share their electron such that this chlorine will share its electron to this chlorine and this chlorine will also share its electron to this chlorine. So the electron outside this chlorine, this means the valence electron of this chlorine becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it has an octet. Now let's see to this chlorine. This has also 8 electrons. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So both of the chlorine atoms attains the electronic configuration like argon, and they attains the octet. Okay. The formation of the chlorine molecule can be understood in terms of the sharing of a pair of electrons between the two chlorine atoms, as I said. Each chlorine atom contributing one electron to the shared pair. This is the shared pair. Okay. Each one of the chlorine has give here one of its electron. This chlorine has given here one electron, and this chlorine also have given here one electron. Right? In the process, both chlorine atoms attain the outer shell octet of the nearest noble gas, that is argon. So thus both of the chlorine atoms becomes happy. Right? Now the dots represent electrons, as we know. Such structures are referred to as Lewis dot structure. The Lewis dot structures can be written for the other molecules also, in which the combining atoms may identical or different. The important conditions being that each bond is formed as a result of sharing of an electron pair between the atoms. Remember, one bond means two electrons. Okay, this one bond is each bond is formed as a result of sharing of an electron pair between the atoms. Each combining atom contributes at least one electron to the shared pair. See, this is the shared pair of two chlorine atom, right? Each chlorine has shared here one electron of its own, right? The combining atoms attain the outer shell noble gas configuration as a result of the sharing of electron, as we have shown here. Each of the chlorine atoms attains the electronic configuration like argon. Okay. Here also you can see the electronic configuration of oxygen in water molecule is also becomes 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, 8. And the electronic configuration of each hydrogen atom becomes 2. As we know that hydrogen try to attain doublet, right? So hydrogen atoms attain a doublet of electrons and oxygen the octet. Now this is the case of CCl4. Look, each of the chlorine atom has 8 electrons and the carbon has also 8 electrons. Okay. Thus both of them become very happy. Okay. Now we have to understand how to write Lewis dot structures. There are 5 steps in that case. Okay. So first of all, you have to count the total number of valence electrons. Secondly, you have to identify the central atom. Generally, the less electronegative one becomes the central atom. Okay. These are the rules. These are the 5 steps. So after identifying the central atom, we have to draw the skeleton. Join them by single bond. Okay. Then assign remaining number of electrons as lone pairs. You have to assign the remaining number of electrons as lone pairs. What are the lone pairs? The electrons which do not participate in bonding are known as lone pairs. Okay. And the electrons which take part in bonding is known as bond pairs. So after that, you have to convert the lone pairs into double or triple bond to complete octet of all atoms. One of the exception is hydrogen. Okay, so example. it will become clear to you after you see the example. Okay. Here you have to draw the Lewis structure of carbon dioxide. So for this step 1, you have to count the total number of valence electron, right? For carbon, the total number of valence electron is 4. We have shown it earlier, right? For oxygen, the total number of valence electron becomes 6 into 2, 6 for each oxygen. So the total number of valence electrons for carbon dioxide becomes 16. Now the next step is identification of central atom. As we know, between carbon and oxygen, carbon is less electronegative, so carbon is a central atom and it has oxygen. Then we have to draw the skeleton. The skeleton will be like this. This is one carbon and there are two oxygen. Okay. Step 4. We need to complete the octet. Okay. See, I have said you that one bond means two electron, right? Here there is one, this is one bond and this is also another bond. Each bond has two electrons. So this carbon-oxygen bond has two electrons and this carbon-oxygen bond also has two electrons. So the total number participating in bond becomes 2 plus 2 equals to 4. So the remaining electron is 16 minus 4, which is equals to 12. Now we will distribute these 12 electrons between the oxygen. We have to assign these 12 electrons as lone pairs as following the rules. Okay. So after distributing these lone pairs, we got this structure. You can see here the completed octet of two oxygen atoms. Here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But the octet of carbon is not completed yet. See, there are only 4 electrons, right? So now let's move to step 5. Now the octet of oxygen is not completed yet. Sorry, the octet of oxygen is completed, but the carbon needs 4 electrons. See, there are 4 electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it needs another 4 electrons to complete its octet, right? So what will carbon do? Carbon will say to each oxygen, bro, please share your 2 electrons with me and let's make a double bond. So carbon wants to make double bond with oxygen as we have shown here as a rule. Convert lone pairs into double or triple to complete octet. See, if this oxygen forms a double bond with carbon, the octet of carbon will be completed. See, when the oxygen form a double bond with it, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 electrons of oxygen and also 8 electrons of oxygen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But if you look at carbon, now it will be happier to see that carbon also has 8 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. As I have said you that one bond means 2 electron. So thus we will get the octet completed carbon dioxide structures. Each atom here, look, each atom has a complete octet here. So now we will see some Lewis representation of some molecules or ions. See, this is hydrogen molecule and there are 2 hydrogen, they are sharing 1 electrons each. So the Lewis representation becomes like this. For oxygen, there are 6 electrons in the outermost valence shell. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and this oxygen also has 6 electrons. So they are sharing. By sharing, they all have 8 electrons. See, this is the Lewis representation. They are forming a double bond. What I have said earlier, I have said that one bond means 2 electrons. So there are 2 electrons, they will form form a pi bond. See, this is a pi bond. Okay, and the remaining will remain as lone pairs. Similarly, you can try for ozone, you can try for NF3, you can try for CO3 2- and for HNO3. This is your homework. You go your home and try to understand how this is happening. And if there is any problem, let me know in the next class. Okay. Now, let's see these examples. Write the Lewis structure of the nitrate ion, NO2-. So, what I have to do? First, I have to count the total number of valence electrons as I have said earlier, right? So, step 1 is count the total number of valence electrons of the nitrogen atom and the oxygen atoms and the additional one negative charge which is equal to one electron. See, this one electron, this one negative charge is equals to one electron. Okay. So electronic configuration for nitrogen is 2s2 2p3. So the valence electron for nitrogen becomes 3 plus 2 equals to 5, and for oxygen 2 plus 4 equals to 6, and there are 2 oxygens, so it will be 2 into 6 plus 1. This plus 1 is for the negative. Okay, this is for this negative charge. So total valence electron becomes 18 electrons. Okay. Step 2, the skeletal structure of NO2 minus is written as like this. This will be the skeletal. There is one nitrogen and 2 oxygen atoms. Okay. Now step 3, draw a single bond, one shared electron pair. As I have said, one shared electron pair forms a single bond. One bond means 2 electron. Okay. So draw a single bond between the nitrogen and each of the oxygen atoms, completing the octets on oxygen atom. We have to complete the octet on oxygen. See, this 2 electron means one bond, this 2 electron means one bond. So now we have to complete the octet. What we have to do? We have to complete the octets of each oxygen atom. So this, however, doesn't complete the octet on nitrogen. As we have seen for the example in carbon dioxide, the octets of oxygen were completed, but the octet of carbon was not completed. Similarly, here we can see the octets of the oxygens are completed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Each oxygen has octet, but for nitrogen there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 electrons. Okay. So what we have to do next? However, doesn't complete the octet on nitrogen if the remaining 2 electrons constitute lone pair on it. Hence, we have to resort to multiple bonding. What we have seen? We have seen in the earlier slide. See here. Convert lone pairs into double or triple bond to complete octet of all atoms. Here, as in case of carbon dioxide, we also have seen that for carbon the octet was not completed. So what did carbon say to oxygen? Carbon said to oxygen that, bro, please share your 2 electrons with me and let's make a double bond. Similar case will take place here. The oxygen will form a double bond with nitrogen atom. See, here this oxygen shares its 2 electron to nitrogen by forming a double bond, by forming this bond. So there will be a negative charge and the Lewis structure will be like this. We can also represent it like this. See, this oxygen or this oxygen, they are equivalent. So either this one will form a pi bond with nitrogen or this one will form a double bond with this nitrogen. They are basically same. Now, write the Lewis-Strauss structure of CO. CO means carbon monoxide molecule. Okay. So let's go step by step. For step 1, we have to count the total number of valence electrons. Okay. For carbon and oxygen, the total number of valence electron becomes 4 plus 6 equals to 10. Right. There is one oxygen and oxygen has 6 electrons in its outermost shell, and carbon, it has 4 electrons in its outermost shell. So total valence electron becomes 4 plus 6 equals to 10. Now this is step 2. We have to draw the skeletal structure of CO. See, there is only one carbon and one oxygen. So the skeletal becomes like this. Now step 3. What we have to do? Draw a single bond, that is one shared electron pair. As I am sharing from the earlier that, I am saying that each one bond means 2 electron. This bond means they are sharing 2 electrons. See, in reality, there is nothing like these single bonds. There is nothing like this straight line. The atoms will not understand that there is a straight line. We represent it like this straight line. Right? But actually what is happening? They are sharing their electron. There is a sharing pair actually. This is a sharing pair of 2 electron forms this sigma bond. This is a sigma bond, this single bond. Okay. Now draw a single bond between carbon and oxygen and complete the octet on oxygen. You have to complete the octet on oxygen. What is the rule? The rule is, see, draw the skeleton and then assign remaining number of electrons as lone pairs. So we have to assign as the lone pairs on oxygen. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there will be octet on oxygen. But see, carbon still has 4 electron, right? 1, 2 and here 4 electron. So what it will do? It will again say to oxygen that, bro, please, let's make a double bond, right? So it will make a double bond, but after making a double bond, it will see that the octet is not completed yet, because after becoming a double bond, it will this carbon will have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6 electrons only. So it will say to oxygen, bro, let's make another one bond. So they will form a triple bond. This is a triple bond, right? Okay. So this doesn't complete the octet on carbon, and hence we have to resort the multiple bonding. This is the condition. Convert lone pairs into double or triple bond to complete octet of all atoms, right? Okay. So thus this becomes the Lewis-Strauss structure of CO molecule. Now we will now learn about formal charge. But before that, let us try to understand why we require formal charge while we have Lewis-Strauss structure. Okay, let's learn. Actually, Lewis-Strauss structures in general do not represent the actual shapes of the molecule, right? See, here you cannot determine what is the shape, right? What is its shape? Here you can also not determine what is the shape of NO2 minus. From here, you can also not determine what is the shape of carbon dioxide. So, Lewis-Strauss structure cannot determine the shape of the molecule. Okay. In case of polyatomic ions, the net charge is possessed by the ion as a whole and not by a particular atom. It is, however, feasible to assign a formal charge on each atom. So, we need a formal charge to know what is the shape, what is the actual shape of the molecule, and what is the charge on a particular atom, right? Now, what is formal charge? It is written here that the formal charge of an atom in a polyatomic molecule or ion may be defined as the difference between the number of valence electrons of that atom in an isolated or free state and the number of electrons assigned to that atom in the Lewis structure. See, here this formula. Formal charge equals to number of valence electron in isolated atom minus number of electron assigned to atoms in Lewis structure. But see, for carbon dioxide, according to this formula, formal charge equals to number of valence electron in isolated atom minus number of electron assigned to that atom in Lewis structure. For carbon dioxide in free state, the number of valence electron was 4. In Lewis structure, this was also 1, 2, 3, 4 equals to 4. See, there are total 8 electrons in that shared pair, right? But among them, 4 is of carbon and 4 is of oxygen. So, the electron assigned in Lewis structure is 4. So, the formal charge becomes 4 minus 4 equals to 0. But it may be difficult to find out Lewis structure of each and every molecule. See, carbon dioxide was very easy, but each and every molecule may not be that much easy like carbon dioxide. That's why it is also time consuming, right? So, we will use this formula. Formal charge calculation is formal charge equals to total number of valence electrons in free atom minus total number of lone pair electrons minus half into total number of bond pair electrons. See. Is it confusing to you? Okay, let us study in little bit detail. Definition of formal charge. So what is the definition of formal charge? This is that the charges placed on different atoms in the Lewis structure of a molecule is called formal charge. The formal charge may be defined as the charges which the atoms would acquire in a molecule if all the atoms possess the same electronegativity. So, it is assumed that the electron pairs in each bond are shared equally by the atoms involved. This is the assumption, right? It is assumed that the electron pairs in each bond are shared equally by the atoms. This is the example for NH4 plus. This is NH4 plus, and formal charge on nitrogen atom becomes 5 minus 0 minus half into 8, which is equals to plus 1. How this is happening? See this formula. Formal charge equals to total number of valence electron in free atom. So, total number of valence electron in nitrogen is what? Is 5. Next, total number of lone pair electrons. For nitrogen, there is no lone pair, right? So, total number of lone pair becomes 0. And this is half into total number of bond pair electrons. See, there are 4 bonds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And each bond means 2 electrons. So, total number of bond pair electron becomes 8. And the formula is half into 8. So, thus, formal charge on nitrogen atom becomes plus 1. And now, for hydrogen atom, formal charge on hydrogen atom becomes the electron, the valence shell electron of hydrogen is 1. And there is no lone pair on hydrogen, so it is 0. And for each hydrogen, the bond pair electron is 1 plus 1, that is 2. For 1 for nitrogen and 1 for hydrogen for each NH bond, right? So for each hydrogen, it will be minus half into 2, that is equals to 0. Okay, now let us consider the ozone molecule. The Lewis structure of ozone may be drawn as like this. The formula of ozone is O3. So, there are 3 oxygen atoms. We have to calculate the formal charge on each oxygen atom. First, look at this oxygen. This is oxygen number 1. Okay. So, the valence shell electrons, the valence electron for oxygen is 6. And in oxygen number 1, there is 2 lone pair electron, right? 1 and 2. So, the number of lone pair electron is 2. And here you can see there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bond pair electrons, which I have said earlier. I have said that one bond means 2 electron. So, the bond pair electron for this oxygen is 6. So, I have half into 6, which becomes plus 1. So, the formal charge of this oxygen is plus 1. Now, look at this oxygen atom. This is oxygen number 2. It also has 6 valence electrons. And it has 1, 2 and 3, 4. Only 4 bond pair electrons, right? So, half into 4. And it has 4 lone pair electrons. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, this one has 4 lone pair electrons. So, the formula, according to the formula, we have 6 minus 4 minus half into 4, which is equals to what? It is equals to 0. So, the formal charge of this oxygen atom is 0. Now, this oxygen atom, this is oxygen number 3. The end oxygen atom, it has only 2 bond pair electron because it has only 1 bond, right? And 1 bond means 2 bond pair electrons. So, this is minus half into 2 according to this formula, minus half into bond pair electrons, right? And it has 6 valence electron. So, this is 6. And it has 6 lone pair electrons. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 lone pair electrons. So, according to the formula, it becomes 6 minus half into 2, which is equals to minus 1. So, the formal charge of this oxygen atom is minus 1. Okay. So, let's see what is written here. It is written that hence we represent O3 along with the formal charge as follows. See, this oxygen atom has a 0 formal charge and this oxygen atom has +1 formal charge, so there is a plus charge, and for this oxygen atom its formal charge is -1, so there is a minus charge. Okay, now we have to know what is the significance actually. What is the significance of formal charge? Why we are reading it, right? So let's start. The assignment of formal charge to the different atoms in a Lewis structure of molecule helps us to understand which structures are more stable, right? We have to know which one is more stable among the all probable structures. Look at this example. It will make you understand. Okay. See here what is written. The structure with smallest formal charges on the atom is most stable one. The one which will be neutral or which will have less charge will be more stable. Okay. So for example, boron trifluoride. Okay, this is BF3 molecule. This is boron trifluoride. Maybe exist in the two following form. This is one form and this is another form. So see, here the formal charge of boron equals to 0 and the formal charge of fluorine, of all the fluorine, is also 0. But for here the formal charge for boron is -1 and the formal charge of this 2 fluorine is 0. But the formal charge of this fluorine is +1. It is pi bonded, right? This is pi bonded fluorine. This is a pi bond, so this fluorine is pi bonded fluorine. So from the above calculation, it is concluded that the structure 1 with smaller formal charge, see there is no formal charge, right, on the atoms would be more stable than structure 2. So the formal charge helps us to know which configuration or which structure is more stable among the all probable structures. Okay. Another example is cyanate ion. Cyanate ion has 3 Lewis structure. 1, 2 and 3. They are 3 Lewis structure of cyanate ion. But among these 3, structure 3, see this structure 3 with smallest formal charge. See this one. Here the formal charge of this carbon is -2. Here the formal charge is -3 and here the formal charge is -1. For this nitrogen atom, the formal charge is +1. Here it is +1 and here also +1. So it can't conclude which one is more stable. But for carbon, it has -2, it has -3, it has -1. So this one has least formal charge. Okay, now for oxygen, this has 0 formal charge, this has +1 and this has -1. So if we sum up, we see that this one has least formal charge. So this one will be more stable. So hope your concept is clear now about formal charge. Okay. So now we are going to learn about the limitation of octet rule. This will be our last topic today. Okay. So let's continue. Limitations of octet rule. We have shown that octet rule is a very useful one. Every atom tries to complete their octet, but there are some limitations also. Let's see what are the limitations. What is written here? It is written that the octet rule, though useful, is not universal. It is quite useful for understanding the structure of most of the organic compounds, and it applies mainly to the second period elements of the periodic table. There are 3 types of exception to the octet rule. First one is the incomplete octet of the central atom. See, when the central atom's octet is not completed, then this octet rule is not valid there. See, in some compounds, the number of electrons surrounding to the central atom is less than 8. Okay. This is especially in the case of elements having less than 4 valence electrons. For example, LiCl, BH2, etc. See, for BH2, the outermost valence electrons for beryllium, the outermost electrons for beryllium is only 2 and each hydrogen has one electron, right? So when they will form bond, when they will form a covalent bond, beryllium would have only 4 electrons. So here octet rule is not valid. Another examples are LiCl, PCl3, etc. Look, here boron has 6 electrons and here lithium has only 2 electrons. So here octet rule is not valid. Now, odd electron molecules. In molecules with an odd number of electrons like nitric oxide, see this is nitric oxide. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. 7 is a odd number. There is 7 electrons outside nitrogen atom. So this is an odd number and octet rule is not valid here because its octet is not complete. Though the octet of oxygen is completed, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 electrons, but the octet of nitrogen is not completed. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 incomplete octet. So this type of case is known as octet contraction. Okay, this is known as octet contraction. The octet rule is not satisfied here. Okay. Another limitation of octet rule is the expanded octet. See, when the element has d orbital, then this type of limitation is generally shown. See, elements in and beyond the third period of the periodic table have, apart from 3s and 3p orbital, 3d orbitals also available for bonding, right? In a number of compounds of these elements, there are more than 8 valence electrons around the central atom. This is termed as expanded octet. Obviously, the octet rule doesn't apply in such cases. What is the examples? Some examples of such compounds are PF5, SF6, H2SO4 and a number of coordination compounds. They have d orbital. See, sulfur has d orbital. Phosphorus has d orbital, so they generally doesn't obey the octet rule. Okay, now see here the structure of PF5, SF6 and H2SO4 are given. For PF5, what is the number of electron outside phosphorus? There is 5 bonds, so number of electron outside phosphorus is 10 electrons around the phosphorus. For sulfur it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bonds, so 6 into 2, that is 12 electrons around the sulfur atom. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 electrons around this sulfur atom. So, you see, they are greater than 8. So, octet rule is not valid here. But there is a surprising fact. You would be surprised to know that sulfur also form many compounds in which the octet rule is obeyed. For example, sulfur dichloride. See, here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 electrons around sulfur. So, octet rule is obeyed here. Now, other drawbacks of octet theory. It is clear that octet rule is based upon the chemical inertness of noble gases. See, I have said you that every element, every atom always try to complete their octet, as after completing their octet, they attain the structure, they attain the electronic configuration like noble gases. So, they become happy, they become inert, chemically inert, they become stable, right? But there are some noble gases which also combine with oxygen and fluorine to form number of compounds like XeF2, KrF2, XeOF2, etc. So, xenon and krypton mainly are the two noble gases which doesn't obey the octet theory in some cases. For XeF2, KrF2, XeOF2, etc. Here you can see the XeF2 Lewis structure. There are how many electrons? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, 10. There are 10 electrons. So, here octet rule is not obeyed. Okay. This theory does not account for the shape of molecules. this theory cannot say about the structure, about the shape, right? It doesn't explain the relative stability of the molecules, being totally silent about the energy of a molecule. So this theory cannot say about the energy of the molecule and the relative stability of the molecules being totally silent about what? About the energy of a molecule. Okay. So here we have completed our topics today. See, we said we will complete these topics and we have completed these topics, right? We have completed what is chemical bond. We have completed why atoms combine to form molecule. We have learned the Cauchy-Lewis approach to chemical bonding. We have learned what did Lewis do. We have learned what is Lewis symbols, what is the significance of Lewis symbols, octet rule, covalent bond, Lewis dot structure and formal charge. Last but not the least, limitations of octet rule. So our class ends today. We have learned the scheduled topics. For the next day, we will learn about what? We will learn about the ionic or electrovalent bond. So, bye bye and take care.